People tend to ignore their butt crack, and trust me, that's one place that you do not want to ignore. Hi, my name is Tinu. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you my top 10 feminine hygiene tips that you need to know. Some of them you might already know, but some of them you probably are not too familiar with. So without further ado, let's get into the video. When it comes to girls' hygiene, it is very important to always keep downstairs dry. Like, it should be dry at all times, because when it's wet, you're inviting microorganisms and bacteria to come in there, and then that's when you get infections like yeast infection. Anytime you go to the toilet and you use the bathroom, you pee, you poo, make sure you use water and at the same time use toilet paper. I think it's important to do that double cleansing, especially if you're a lady. You know that our own system, our own reproductive system, they're very delicate when it compares to men, so we can't compare at all. Our own is complex and it requires a lot of maintenance. Like, we are really high maintenance. As much as you're going to be using water, make sure you use a toilet paper to pat it dry before wearing your underwear, so that it is as dry as possible. You know that when you use water and you wear your undies, definitely still going to be wet. So when you use water, make sure you have try to have toilet paper handy. If you don't have toilet paper, toilet paper is bulky, so if you're not able to be carrying toilet paper anywhere you go, you can just buy those little serviettes, and just anytime you want to use the restroom, you just take one and then go to the restroom. Even if it's just to pee, if it's number one, number two, make sure you use water and then you pat it dry. I want to believe that there's nobody that still goes to the restroom and uses only toilet paper. If you are, make sure this is the time that you change. Another way to always keep it dry down there is to use cotton underwear. I know as ladies we like to feel sexy, we like to feel good, and cotton underwears are not always necessarily sexy. So if you fall in this category, I think there are some undies that actually have they might not be cotton, they might be sexy, silky, whatever, but they actually have the lining, which is going to be under, usually has a cotton part. I think that one is okay. The reason why I'm saying you should use cotton is because, you know, the material, cotton material, is very breathable. When you see silk, you see lace and all those kind of materials, they're not really breathable, but cotton material is really breathable, and it helps to allow excess moisture from sweat and discharge to evaporate. So even if you use the restroom, or maybe you've been sweating and definitely there are sweat glands down there, so you sweat down there also. So if you've been sweating down there, maybe during the day you've been in maybe hot weather, or you've been really busy doing some kind of exercise, if you're wearing a cotton underwear, it will help to absorb the moisture faster and allow the moisture to evaporate. That's the thing about cottons. So it's very important to keep it dry down there, because you do not want to invite microorganisms to breed, because microorganisms, one thing you need to do is that microorganisms, bacteria, tend to love it in wet places. So when your underwear is always wet, when it's always wet down there, you're inviting bacteria to just breed, and it can lead to infections. The next tip I have for you is to wipe the right way. Surprisingly, not a lot of girls actually know the right way to wipe. You might be wiping in a way that is actually inviting you to have infections and all that. If you don't know, the proper way for you to wipe when you use the restroom is to wipe from the front to the back. Whether you're using water, you're using toilet paper, correct way to wipe is for you to wipe from the front to the back. I hope you understand, you're wiping from the front to the back. If you're wiping from the back to the front, the back is where your anal region is. So if you're wiping from the back to the front, you're probably inviting bacteria from your anal region into your vagina per se. The one important thing that I see a lot of ladies overlook is, I'm sure you hear it every time, and I actually believe that this is key. Make sure you avoid using soap to wash your vagina. Make sure you avoid using soap to wash inside. You can use soap to wash the outer part, that is the vulva, if you know what I mean, because you know that ladies, our reproductive system is very high maintenance. There's an inner part, there's an outer part. So make sure you're not using soap to wash inner part. The inner part is self-cleansing. It doesn't need soap, it doesn't need anything. You putting anything there is only even going to irritate it or upset your pH balance totally. It doesn't need anything. And even if you're going to be washing the outer part, make sure you're using I think, to me, I believe that using water is more than enough. Water is enough. Anything other than water, I feel, is unnecessary. But if you must use soap, make sure it is soap that is unscented. Make sure you're not using scented feminine washes down there. Make sure you're not douching. Make sure you're not because honestly, it's just very necessary. The vagina is self-cleansing. I've read some studies that actually say that the vagina is much cleaner than our mouth is. I know that sounds crazy. I think that if you don't believe me, just Google it yourself, that the vagina is actually cleaner than our mouth. Like in the mouth there are a lot of bacteria, but the vagina, it is cleansing itself. When it gets dirty, it cleanses itself. Avoid perfumes, avoid anything that actually has like strong odor or is scented. Avoid using it down there as much as possible, because it could make you prone to infection. It could irritate you down there. Another very, very important tip that I feel that you really need to know, I feel like you should make it a habit to always pee before and after sexual intercourse, especially after. If you know that you're sexually active, whether you're married, whether it's one partner, like this is not even a matter of whether it's one partner or two partners, or like you have multiple partners, whether you're married, you're single, if you're sexually active, make sure as a lady, like it's very important, make sure you pee after sex. Like it is key, because during sex a lot of things are introduced into your vagina. You have like, you know, sometimes you're using like external stuffs, like maybe condoms, or you're using like some people even use spit as lubricants. Please, if you're guilty of this, like it's a no. Spit contains a lot of bacteria, and when you're using it as a lubricant and then it enters your vagina, trust me, it can lead to a lot of infections. So avoid that as much as possible. And then after sex, whether you use whatever you use, make sure you pee after sex, because when you pee, you're flushing out whatever bacteria, whatever toxin might have entered during the process or whatever. So make it a habit, always pee before and after sex. Another tip that a lot of people overlook, and ladies, I feel like this one is important. I want to say, especially if you're staying in a very hot region, but I feel like whether you're staying in a hot region or you're not, so far you're active during the day, I feel like you need to bathe twice daily at least. I feel like it's important, because during the day so many things are getting stuck to your bodies, you're coming in contact with so many things, and as a lady it's just important to always just have everything looking and smelling fresh. So one thing that really helps is to always like bathe at least twice daily. I feel like it's important during your period, during like when you're on your period and everything. That is like the period where you're like, normally as a lady your hygiene should be like top notch, but during your period your hygiene should like go to another level. If you can bathe more than twice daily during your period, please do that, because there's some people that are really sensitive to smell. So you can be around some certain kind of people, you can be in a crowd, you can be in the office, and then it's always it's not nice when like you have people around you that are actually able to like perceive some kind of scent, because when you're especially for those that use like pads, that don't use tampons, like it is very possible for like people around you sensitive noses to know that, oh, this person is on a period, and that's not a cute thing, ladies. We don't want that. We don't want that. So during your period, as much as possible, if you can bathe more than twice a day, bathe. Even if they tell you that you change your pad every 6 hours, every 8 hours, if you can, like if you're able to change it even more than that, as many times as possible, just to make sure that you're always clean, you're always smelling fresh down there. And ladies, when you're having your bath or when you're having your shower, I feel like for a lady, showers are usually, I feel like, more recommended than baths. So if you're the type that likes baths, at least just try and limit how many times you use a bath, because places like swimming pools, like baths, where you spend a long amount of time in a bath, you can actually get prone to infection that way. So I feel like a shower is better recommended for your day-to-day as a lady. And then when you're showering, please, this is very important, because it's something that people tend to overlook. When you're actually using your shower, whether you're scrubbing, you're using soap or whatever, do not ignore the crevices, do not ignore the little places. Like there's some places that people tend to ignore, because especially maybe when you're on your day-to-day, people tend to ignore like behind the ears, people tend to ignore like in between the toes, people tend to ignore even the back of the toes, people tend to ignore their butt crack. And trust me, that's one place that you do not want to ignore. There are some people that, as clean as they might be, if that place is not clean, it is very possible that you might have like some kind of terrible odor emanating from that place, and you don't want that. Make sure those are places that you're paying extra attention to. Your armpits, make sure you're paying extra attention to that place. Like give that place some extra love, because those are places where you tend to sweat more, and those are places that really need you to like concentrate. Your belly button too is one place that you should not for any reason ignore. Very important, ladies. Like you always need to keep every single inch of our body clean and fresh. If you've ever heard the phrase, you are what you eat, when it comes to like our hygiene, especially down there, you are what you drink. Make sure you are incorporating or making it a habit to drink more water. If you really want like to be fresh down there, you want to smell better down there, make sure you're drinking more water. The thing is, sugary drinks, as well as when you're dehydrated, when you don't have enough water in your system, it can actually affect the bacterial balance of your vagina and can make you more prone to infection, more prone to odors and all those kind of things. But when you're drinking water, you're flushing toxins, you're flushing so many things away from your body, and trust me, you definitely tend to smell better. Like, this is something that I have actually experienced firsthand, because I used to be the type that I have a sweet tooth. I take sugar a whole lot, be it drinks, be it candy, be it whatever, and sometimes I even forget to take water, and I know that I'm not the only one guilty of this. But then when I realized that I have to be more conscious of like taking a lot of water, and I actually went as far as buying a water bottle, so I'm always reminded to like take water, so that I know that okay, if I finish this, I know at least I know that I've taken this much water in a day. I realized that everything just tends to like smell better. Like, even when I sweat and all that, I still smell good. I still like, everything still looks good. I think it goes along with like incorporating more water into your diet. Trust me, after some time, you actually begin to see what I'm talking about. If you've come this far and you actually love my tips so far, please give this video a quick like, just so that YouTube can suggest my videos to other people that might actually need these tips. And if you want to, you can subscribe to my channel so that when other videos drops, you'll be the first to know. So my next tip, ladies, please make antiperspirants and deodorants a part of your daily life. Especially, but not only, but especially if you stay in like a hot region. Like myself, I stay in a very hot region. When you're in the hot region, you tend to sweat more than you probably should. So antiperspirants are actually deodorants that like help you to like block sweat and like help you to block the odor that comes with like sweat and all those things. That, you know, they block odor causing bacteria. So you tend to smell fresh all day when you're on antiperspirants. Like, especially those ones that you see that they tend to last for like 24 hours, 28 hours. So you know that throughout the day you're smelling fresh. And if you can, you're applying it multiple times during the day. If you don't already do that, make sure you're incorporating in deodorants, body sprays, and antiperspirants into your daily life. They are smelling clean and fresh all day. Like, this one is key. Like, as a lady, you actually have to be smelling fresh all day, because you cannot just be, you can't be caught lacking, you know. But as much as possible to our advice that you just go for those ones that actually put it on their containers that they are antiperspirants, so that they are helping you to block odor causing bacteria. And as well as those ones that don't like put in, that there are some deodorants that actually put a nasty stain in your clothes. Meanwhile, there are some that are actually very good that do not stain your clothes. Another tip that is not really common practice but is really important and will help you to prevent infections as much as possible is to incorporate probiotics into your daily life. Like, try to make it a habit. There are some probiotic supplements, some supplements to like cranberry supplements, or the cranberry juice itself can actually help you a whole lot to prevent infections like UTI. When you take probiotics on a day-to-day basis, it actually helps you to grow good bacteria in your body, good bacteria in your vagina, so that your vagina is smelling fresh and then you're not prone to infections and all that. They really help, and they go a long way. If I'm able to, I will link some down below. I'll put some on the screen so that you can see what I mean by probiotics, or you can do your more research on it if you're not too sure about what I'm talking about. But as a lady, I feel like probiotics is a very important one that you should actually have in your day-to-day life. So guys, those are the 10 feminine hygiene tips that I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. To my next video, I'll see you guys. Have a nice week. Bye bye.